lot of plants, including a lot of orchids, if they can't survive on benign neglect, they're not going to survive. And that really is the truth.
I like it.
Most people are more likely to kill not just an orchid, almost any plant, especially an indoor plant, by fussing over it too much, especially giving it too much water, than they're going to do any other way. I mean, sometimes there are some weeks I have a little more time than just to go down and throw some water on them, and they're on timers, so I don't have to worry about turning the lights on and off. But so they're not necessarily that difficult. Now, there are some, and I have a few here that are a little bit fussier, but a lot of these are actually very easy to grow. Some things that are definitely easy. A lot of folks, by the way, interestingly enough, the big three for a lot of orchid growers, especially at home, are the Phalaenopsis, the moth orchids. And at this point, I don't have any in bloom. They're all in spike, but nobody's blooming right now, so I didn't have one of those to bring. Cattleyas, the big the corsage orchids. I grow those, especially the larger ones, under the metal halide lights because they take a little bit more light. That would be where you'd want to have a sunny window if you're going to do it at home, if you're going to not do them under lights. And I had some beautiful big white ones and also some kind of lavender blue, and they've been blooming for over a month. And of course, the nature of orchids, if any of you have ever grown any, they tend to hold their flower almost perfectly, and they can go on for a month or more. Some of the Phalaenopsis is even longer. And then within a day or two when they're done, they just fold. They go from absolutely just fine to just folding. Well, of course, both of the Cattleyas both folded up like Thursday and Friday of last week, because I thought I was going to bring them today. Because for a lot of my big growing seasons, I have a lot of things that grow in the fall, or that bloom in the fall. So a lot of those are now going out, and then it's a little bit of a lull, and then around Christmas time through midwinter, I have a lot of other things that come into bloom, especially the Phalaenopsis, as those are all spiking, especially the miniatures. The miniature ones usually come into flower a little bit quicker. That's another thing. If you're worried that you don't have enough room, the little miniature Phalaenopsis that have become very prevalent in the last 5 years or so, even in the grocery stores, those things are really easy to grow and they don't take up very much space. Just little small, little miniature plants. Anyway, and then finally the lady slippers, the Paphiopedilums, which are my main interest. Most of my orchids, and the largest part of my plant collection, are species, meaning they're not hybrids, they're actually the actual original flower from various places in Southeast Asia is where they come from. And of course, ironically, I don't have one of those in bloom right now for you either. I do have, this guy's called this is not a species, this is a hybrid. This is a South American tropical lady slipper. It's called a Phragmopygium. And interestingly enough, for the first century and a half that people were growing orchids, the Phragmopygiums, people didn't grow many of them because all the flowers that they know about all tended to be contain shades of tan and green and cream, not very exciting. And somehow, down in the rainforests of Ecuador and Peru, all this time, of all these orchid hunters that had been there, it wasn't until the 1990s that all of a sudden they discovered these species that have bright red and bright orange flowers and bright pink flowers. And so now there's all these hybrids, and this is an example of one of those hybrids.